Hello, guys, and welcome back to another interesting episode of Crypto Scoop FM. In today's video, I'm going to bring you my thoughts about Sui, the blockchain, and the top 5 tokens that I feel are worth looking at and keeping an eye on, or maybe even adding to your ongoing watch list to perhaps take advantage of everything cool that is happening on the Sui ecosystem. All right, so with that, let's dive in. If you're new here or for the first time, I'm Rohit. I've been in crypto for the last 4.5 years, and during this time, I've held multiple exec roles across companies like Polygon Labs, Long Hash Ventures, and Socket Protocol. These have been very interesting experiences for me because they've given me a front row seat to explore crypto, to talk to a lot of builders, to travel the world, and see up close and personal all of the developments that has happened in this space. And the reason I always tell you this is because it gives me a unique vantage point to look at the industry. And unlike other crypto YouTubers who are merely looking at the industry outside in as traders, I have this rare opportunity to bring you an inside scoop. And so I don't know if this is good or bad, but take it with whatever pinch of salt. Now, finally, anything that I say in today's video is not financial advice. Remember, I'm just a guy sitting in a room making his videos. So if you make any financial decision, investment decision, or even legal decision, life decision based on anything that I say in this video, remember it's all on you and not on me. All right, so with that out of the way, let's dive in. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about today is just the broader market. And one thing that caught my attention was something that I just saw a few hours back, which is which is the American President Donald Trump issuing an order to place 2 nuclear submarines in appropriate regions near Russia. Now, this is a developing story, so not a lot has come out, but it's interesting because what has happened as a result of this is over the last hour, I'm seeing red candles coming into the crypto markets. And it's not just the crypto markets. If you look at global markets as well, there has been some dips happening there. You can see a little more clearly what's happening, especially in the crypto markets. You can see there is this decline that has happened, and it touched all the way to $113,000. Now, I don't know if the goal is to create mayhem in the markets and simply buy BTC lower, which has been one of the speculations that have been going around, especially given the fact that the Trump family is so deeply invested in crypto. So why would they want to make any major announcements until they have their bags filled? So that's one of the things that I feel is probably happening. But even broader, you can see the S&P 500 is down 1.7%. Nasdaq top 100 is down 2%. The Dow Jones is down about 1.3%. A lot of volatility as seen by the VIX index, which is 30% movement, which is rare to see. And across the crypto stack, ETH is down 3.5%, Bitcoin is down about 2%. But it's very important that we look at the data and we make informed choices. So that's something that you need to keep an eye on. All right, so with that out of the way, let's jump into Sui. Sui came into existence. Sui came into existence in 2023 by this company called Mistin Labs. And what Mistin Labs basically was, all of the former engineers who were working on the stablecoin project, the blockchain project at Facebook, which was basically called DM, they came together and they started this company company called Mistin Labs, which created Sui. Now, that's the background, right? So you already know you have a team which is very strong when it comes to their engineering operational jobs. They have, though, in the last few months, been able to really turn things around for Sui, both in terms of momentum and community. I should tell you that when it comes to evaluating blockchain projects, as much as I like to see activity and adoption, I know for a fact that 90 to 95% of all of the value that a chain generates from a market cap perspective is actually all mimetic value. So it's important that Sui has to gain that attention and virality. And so I think from that angle, if I show you mentions for Sui on Radar, so if I just type Sui, you will see how many mentions. So there have been like almost 200,000 posts for Sui, right? Which is great. And this is just over a period of the last 7 days. And that tells me that Sui is something which is actively discussed across the social layer, which is right now, though, from radar only limited to X, but this is still a very important barometer for me to know there is going to be strong memetics whenever it happens. And if we actually look at the price chart, so if you look at the STUI USDT spot market, you can see there's been periods of heavy volatility on this token, and last it hit its all-time high in early January when we had that last like kind of a mini bull run, and since then actually let's look at the daily chart. This was easier for us. So yeah, 2023 is when it was launched. Crashed all the way to 40 cents, and since then it ran from 40 cents to $5, right? That's more than 10x actually, and since then it has corrected and now kind of trading at about 357. So one thing to note about Sui is that I think it's been one of the strongest performers in this year. There's also a little golden cross which is emerging here when the 50-day price has just crossed the 200-day, and this happened on the 25th of July, which was just a week back. If this would have been a bullish momentum continuance, then we would have seen price go even further up. But because we had this little break now coming in as a result of all the geopolitics that has happened, we can see already correction happening over the last couple of days. So is this a good opportunity to buy the dip? Maybe. I will go through all the data with you, and then you can make your own measured call on what is the right thing to do. Now, the first thing that I want to start with is memetics, right? So as I was telling you, memetics is everything. And on this data platform, which is Artemis, they basically look at the annualized revenue generated by each chain, which is nothing but the fees minus incentives, and what is the current market cap, and they try to calculate the market cap by revenue, right? Which is very similar to price to sales ratio, which is used in traditional markets when we look at the relative pricing or valuation of one stock in comparison to another in its relative industry. And so you can already see that Hype is valued at 11 times its revenue, which which when compared to any other blockchain probably gives me the cheapest buy at this price. And compare that to like some of the larger chains, right? Like Ethereum does about $295 million in annualized revenue and is valued at $430 billion. That's a 1460. I'm so sorry. That's a 1456x multiple on its revenue. Right? Let's go down. Let's look at some other bigger ones. And actually, let's just look at chains. It'll make our life easier, right? Base does not have a token. Solana again, like Ethereum, trades at 1600 times its revenue. BNB trades at like 8,000 times its revenue. When chains like Ripple XRP, which is so popular, look at this, guys, $3 million in annualized revenue and trading at 57,000, right? And Sui on this list is trading at 1,925, right? So it's important to keep an eye on this number because that tells you the reflexivity and how far away we are when it comes to evaluating these projects on the basis of their fundamental performance. Rather, it's all about memetics. If more people believe that this project is going to do extremely well tomorrow, that is basically what's being reflected in the price and not the current fundamentals. So I wanted to get that out of the way. But having said that, I think the fundamentals are looking good. They're looking strong. It's slowly but steadily also growing. Of course, of all of the metrics in crypto, the one that I think is the least useful is total value locked. And the reason I say that is because liquidity, any kind of liquidity, when it is locked in a smart contract, is basically mercenary liquidity. What this means is usually you have a DeFi protocol which is just getting started or a chain which is just getting started, and they incentivize users to bring in their liquidity to deposit in a given protocol, or to trade on that protocol, or to lend on that protocol, or to borrow on that protocol, and in exchange they receive rewards. And so as soon as those rewards dry up, you will see a plunge in liquidity, and so that's something which is dangerous. So take TVL with a pinch of salt, although right now, as you can see, over the last 6 months, actually over the last year, Sui has almost quadrupled its TVL, right? Actually, more than that. It was almost close to 400 million, and it's 2.1 billion right now. So that's almost like 5x. So 5x growth in TVL across the base. You have almost every protocol built on Sui. Seeing an increase in TVL on a monthly basis, which is kind of good. You also see, some of these projects are making decent amount of fees, although in comparison to Solana or other bigger chains, this is almost nothing. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, I wanted to show you this chart, which basically compares Sui, which is the one at the top, with Aptos, which is another project in a very similar space, because just like Sui, which is a move-based blockchain which used object-oriented programming and modeling, is Aptos is a direct competitor to Sui. Because both of them worked in Facebook. They were basically all working on the same DM project, and then at some point in time, they decided to split and create Sui. So there's been some bad blood between two teams and stuff like that. I don't want to get into it, but you can already see that Sui has been consistently outperforming Aptos when it comes to at least market adoption and growth of their TVL. So something to keep in mind. Another good indicator that I always like to see is the stables market cap to DeFi, because I believe for any chain to prosper and grow its DeFi ecosystem, the most fundamentally important lever is stablecoins. So if you don't see stablecoin velocity or growth in a given chain, it's very hard for that chain to basically grow its DeFi ecosystem. And so on that regard, you can see like Ethereum has a stablecoin market cap to DeFi TVL of 1.6. Tron is actually leaps ahead on this with about $80 billion in stables market cap, although they have much less, DeFi TVL, which is why their overall metric is a much higher multiple. And Sui and Solana is 1.19. And if you go down and we look at where Sui stands right now, Sui is at 0.54, right? 0.54, and it's actually much lower than Aptos. So the velocity of money going into stables turning into liquidity within a DeFi protocol is much faster velocity on Aptos or even Ethereum or Solana in comparison to Sui. So that's something which is interesting to keep as a number on the back of your heads. As you kind of go into looking into Solana, into Sui. Now the thing that I really hate about Sui is this idea of is how their token unlocks are shaped, right? Just in a day and 6 hours, you will have $175 million worth of Sui tokens unlocking. That's like 49.5 million Sui tokens, and that's going to hit the market. And right now where we are in a more of a like fearful market, this might cause a further price dip. So something to keep an eye on. And these unlocks will continue until probably until 3rd of May 2026. So we're still looking at an entire year of close to 50 million Sui tokens being unlocked every single month. And after that, you will have the Series B unlocked fully done, and then it will just be your community reserves, staking subsidies, community allocation pools, Mistin Labs treasury and early contributors. Basically, their tokens continue to be unlocked over the next 4 years or so. So I hate these kind of charts, because I feel like this just creates undue pressure on the SOE token. But having said that, I think fundamentally, if they're able to create the right demand drivers for SOE, and they can figure out ways or mechanisms that this demand is accepted in the ecosystem, then they can do something really incredible. And one good news that came out, which I think is great news actually, is the NASDAQ listed SOE Treasury Access is here, introducing Mill City Ventures. So Mill City Ventures is this company, which is a NASDAQ listed company with their token symbol MCVT. And actually, we should look at MCVT here for a second very quickly. So MCVT, Mill City Ventures. So if you look at the Mill City Ventures chart, you can see already what happened as a result of the announcement. So on the day of announcement, which was, I think it was 1 or 2 days back, 25th of July, the token went from almost nothing, right? What was the last price of the token? The last price of the token was, guys, 1.83. So from 1.83, it went all the way to 7.73. And if you look at the price on the graph, and let me open the 4-hour chart. So it just basically did a 300x, right? I'm sorry, it did a 3x, 311% on the day of the announcement, and since then has lost half of its value. Still trading at 4.95, which is, I think, for folks who might have bought in here or up until here, they would have made money. Otherwise, you would have lost money. So something to keep an eye on. Right. The good thing is all of these token unlocks, like $175 million worth of now and then next and next, could basically be absorbed by Mill City Ventures. And if they are able to create sustainable demand for their asset, they will continue to buy even more, and that then creates a forward liquidity loop, which allows more demand for the token, right? So that's everything that I wanted to tell you about SOE from a market perspective. But now I'm going to give you my picks of 5 projects that I think are real game changers when it comes to not just innovative ideas, but also if you want to go take a higher beta leveraged play into the SOE ecosystem, then I'm very, very certain that these are the ones which are going to perform the best first. Right, so I have already prepared this list for you. I'm going to leave a link to each one of these in the bottom of my video, so you can check it out later. But the first one is Walrus. If you don't know what Walrus is, with Walrus, what basically Mistin Labs is trying to do is, and by the way, guys, this is actually funded by Mistin Labs. It is founded by the founders of Mistin Labs or SOE, and they've also raised money from A16Z and other like really large venture capital funds. And what Walrus essentially is, they've created this protocol or a platform which allows folks to store data over a decentralized protocol. That's what it is. And so you might ask me like, hey, didn't we already have Filecoin for that? Well, yes, we did, but Filecoin is just a native storage protocol with a lot of technical debt. And what Walrus has done is they've turned this data into programmable storage layer. And so you can basically not just store data statically, but also use that to dynamically create applications that tap into that data to achieve whatever XYZ goals. And they're doing a lot of very interesting partnerships with AI startups, which I think is going to be a huge demand driver for them. I was also actually looking at this very interesting data point. Let me see if I can find it for you. But approximately 5 petabytes of storage data is already consumed. Let me see. Yeah, it is. So they've crossed 800 terabytes. So this is, I think, slightly old. This was May 24. I think I just recently read that they did like 5 petabytes of data consumption. Let me see if I can find that very quickly for you guys. So yeah, there you go. So 1 petabyte. I'm so sorry. They hit a 1 petabyte storage milestone, and they're on path to become the #1 storage solution in Web3. So this shows you demand drivers exist, and that's something which is interesting to look into a project. It's currently trading at a market cap of 500 million. And actually, let's also look at the FDV and the market cap to FDV ratio. So the FDV is $2 billion. I think in comparison to Filecoin, it's almost right there, that ballpark. And so you can already see it's down quite a bit over the last 7 days. And in fact, like let's also further customize, look at the last 30 and 60 days, you can see over the entire period, like longer period of time frame, Walrus is actually down 21%. So something to keep an eye on. I think it could be actually one of the very good performers on the SOE ecosystem from a beta leverage play. Now, the next one that I want to talk about is DeepBook. What DeepBook essentially has done is it's from a numbers perspective, it's currently trading at a 348 million market cap with a fully diluted valuation of 1.4 billion dollars. I think this is a lot more valuable play when it comes to the SUI ecosystem, and not just the SUI ecosystem, but the broader crypto ecosystem, because one of the biggest challenges of of DeFi or broadly in crypto is the problem of price discovery, right? Because AMMs or automated market makers, they're very good for short-term trading, right? Because there's concentrated liquidity, you can get a better price discovery. But for more, high speed, high frequency trading, perpetuals or spots, or like a centralized exchange experience like Binance or Coinbase, you need deep liquidity, right? You need certainty. And so what DeepBook has done is they've created this on-chain order book. And so using that on-chain order book, a number of protocols basically integrate, their framework, which allows them to tap into deep liquidity, create a composable layer, keep their fees extremely low, have high throughput and low latency when it comes to filling orders, and it's secure and fully on-chain, unlike me having to trust Binance with respect to their assets and liquidity, right? And you can already see the numbers, like they've so far processed $10 billion in volume, right? And 13 million users across the space. And every time this happens, the Deep token responds. So I like that token mechanics as well. Deep has been a great performer in the market. In fact, when if you look at the token, it's just down like 5% from in the last 60 days, and 7.6% overall. Overall, the token, I think the best buying opportunity was on the 8th of April when there was this massive pullback and it dropped from like 700 million to 131 million. It has since recovered quite a bit, but now I think this dip actually presents a great opportunity to buy into a project which is fundamentally very, very strong. So that's going to be my second pick for the day. So definitely keep an eye on DeepBook. Now the third one is Sui Len and Navi protocol. Now I've had a hard time kind of convincing myself which one to go with, because I was looking at this chart and I think this is the only one that you need to look at. But first, both of them are pretty much in the same space. They're both trying to build this lending liquidity layer on Sui. And so basically, their TVL is right now neck and neck. Like Sui Lend as of July 3rd was 539 million, and Navi was 527. Let's look at what those numbers look at right now. So Sui Lend basically leads right now, but you can already see it's not a large gap. It's at 663 and 630. And both are consistently growing, although Sui Lend is actually making much higher fees in comparison to Navi protocol, which is a good thing to look at. So yeah, I would probably look at from an FDV perspective, they're both trading at a very close range. Market cap as well is very, very close. So take your pick. I would probably go with Navi protocol over Sui Lend, simply because when I was looking at the Navi platform, I felt there's a lot more available here, both in terms of offerings. So Navi offers your traditional lending, but they also have something known as Volo LST, which is their liquid staking token. So basically, you deposit Sui. And not only you secure the network because it's a proof of stake network and you earn some return, but you also get a liquid staking token in return, which you can use to then also participate in further DeFi activities on Sui and basically compound your returns. So I think that's something cool. They also have something known as Aptos, which is their own DEX. So overall, I think a combination protocol kind of looks really, really cool. So yeah, this is something that I would probably recommend to you guys. Now, the next one that I want to talk about is, and I come to Lo-Fi in a second, but Bluefin would be probably my fifth bet for you. And what Bluefin is essentially trying to do is create the Hyperliquid of DeFi. So basically, you can do perpetual trading fully on chain, high speed, powered by Sui's blockchain. And so they have already done like $50 billion in trading volume, and that's only in beta, right? With Bluefin, and now they're unlocking Bluefin Pro, which will make it basically 10x bigger. So I don't think Hyperliquid is going to be the only game in town. Bluefin actually gives you exposure into a very interesting product at a valuation of what 75 million, which I think is a steal. If you compare the FDB of Hyperliquid, which is at $45 billion, this is actually a no-brainer, right? So keep an eye on Bluefin. I think the platform looks really, really cool. If they're able to do it, provide the right incentives, make sure it is high speed, scalable, provides deep liquidity, and then I have no doubt they will be able to drive more and more attention and value back to their protocol. Now, the final one that I want to talk about is actually Lo-Fi. Now, if you haven't watched my video on my ultimate meme coin thesis, then I would highly recommend that you watch that. It's linked below in the description, or you can watch it right up here. The reason why I call Lo-Fi as, I think, one of the seminal memes for Sui is because it was one of the first ones. Two, a good thing about memes are you need to make sure they've had multiple like pullbacks, and in their case, they have had that. And when crazy liquidity comes into a chain, the big memes of that chain really run super hard. So for that, it would be Lo-Fi. Another one on the Sui ecosystem, and actually let me show you another meme. So Sui meme. Let's just look at all the memes on Sui. So there's Lo-Fi, and then there's another one which is, I think it's called Sudeng. So Sudeng is also something very interesting. But one that has just recently caught my attention is Mew, which came in all of the sudden, and this is part of the cat, the cat enigma that somehow catches crypto very much. So I would not be surprised if Mew is actually the dark horse. I always thought that Hippo, because Hippo was probably the first meme on Sui, or one of the first popular memes on Sui rather. I think the Hippo meta is kind of dying down because the viral internet story that it was associated with about that hippo, I think it was in Thailand or Malaysia, I can't remember the exact country. I think that has kind of died down. So I feel like Sudeng might not get the attention and liquidity that is required for memes to kind of go viral, and so it's probably going to be Lo-Fi. But I think Mew could definitely be a dark horse simply because the cat meta in crypto is just so frigging strong. All right, guys. So we're at 28 minutes. I'm going to wrap up today's episode. I hope you enjoyed my coverage of Sui, and I'm going to see you again very, very soon. If you want to explore my meme coin thesis in greater detail, then don't forget to watch this video. And if you want to know why I think Ray on Base is one of the best performing tokens, then please check out this video. Finally, I bid you adieu, and I'll see you again next week. Ta-da, and have a safe weekend.